I don't argue online anymore, not because I don't care, but because I started to understand what those arguments actually are. For a long time, I thought that if something mattered, you had a responsibility to argue for it. If something didn't make sense, you should challenge it. And if you believed in something strongly, you should defend it. And for years, that's exactly what I did. I posted, debated, responded to comments, and tried to quote correct people. Not because I enjoyed conflict, but because I genuinely believed that if I could just explain something clearly enough, then people would understand. But what I didn't understand back then was this: most arguments online aren't about truth, they're about identity. And once identity is involved, logic rarely wins. And I learnt that the hard way. There were times when I was blunt, forceful, and even overly intense. And at the time, I just thought I was being passionate. But in reality, I was pushing too hard in environments that weren't built for nuance. And here's something else I had to accept. When you speak in environments that are designed for speed, outrage, and tribal signaling, even valid points can get distorted. Because online platforms don't reward clarity, they reward reaction. And once I started to see that, something shifted, and I realized that I wasn't actually having conversations. I was just participating in a performance where you have one side that says something provocative and then the other side reacts emotionally. Meanwhile, both feel morally justified or superior, and nothing actually changes. It's just one big negative energy generating feedback loop. And at a certain point, I started asking myself, if this isn't creating understanding, then what am I actually doing? And the answer was really uncomfortable. I was burning energy, damaging relationships, and reinforcing the exact dynamics that I claimed to dislike. And even worse than that, I was allowing strangers to control my emotional state. A negative comment could affect my mood for hours, and a label could stay in my head for days. And that's when I realized something important, which is that silence isn't weakness. Sometimes it's discernment. It's recognizing that not every space deserves your voice. And that doesn't mean that you stop thinking, caring, or noticing patterns. It just means that you start choosing more carefully where and how you express those thoughts. Because there's a difference between arguing to win and speaking to build. And there's also a difference between trying to defeat an opponent and trying to articulate something meaningful. And I don't believe that most online spaces are designed for meaningful exchange. Instead, they're designed for engagement, which means that outrage will always travel further than nuance. So at a certain point, I stepped back, not because I changed all my views or became indifferent, and not because I was afraid, but because I realized that constantly trying to persuade people who don't want to be persuaded is a losing strategy. I realized that it's not my job to awaken the world. Instead, it's my responsibility to live in alignment with what I believe and to speak in spaces where I feel that genuine dialogue is possible. That's part of why this channel exists, not as a battleground or a debate arena, but as a place where thoughts can be expressed without needing to be shouted. So if something I say resonates with you, keep it. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. I'm not here to convert anyone. I'm just here to speak honestly and let the right conversations form naturally. Because sometimes the strongest position you can take is choosing not to fight at all. I'm Andy Gates, and this is Between Worlds. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.